All right, friends, the secret is out, so might as well just share it with you. I don't use a budget. I never have. I don't know if I ever will. When I started my debt-free journey, it wasn't something that I was gung-ho about. I didn't see the importance of creating a budget when I knew like I was already allocating what I wanted to my goals. And, now obviously I see the importance of budget for people who use them, like they swear by them. And I also think that if it works for you, that's great. For me, it's always been about allocating from the moment I get my paycheck a certain amount of money towards my savings goals and just being able to spend the rest however I want. So some months it might be more eating out than usual, and other months it might be like movie tickets and more entertainment expenses. But all of that is okay because of that initial allocation of my savings. I call this my spending calendar, right? So I, in the beginning of the month, know what's coming in, like understand what is going to go directly towards my savings, and then the rest is fair game. Right? I can decide to spend it however I want, and I'm not going to feel guilty about it because my primary focus and goals have already been met. Of course, to create a spending calendar, there needs to be a few things in place. The first is a high yield savings account. So you'll need a high yield savings account in order to directly allocate those savings into that account in a place where it's harder for you to reach. It's you don't even have to think about it or see it. It just goes automatically either from paycheck into the savings account or from your checking account directly to the savings account. Second thing is knowing how much you make, right? Every given month. And if you're a salaried employee, this is pretty easy. Just look at your past few pay stubs and figure out how much is coming in the first of the month, how much is coming in the 15th, or whatever schedule your payment is at. Now, where it gets a little tricky is if you are not a salaried employee and you're hourly or work for yourself and it's a service-based income structure. For that, I would just say, look at the last 3 months of your career of whatever you made and see what the average of those months are. If it happened to be like a high season couple months, then maybe look at the past couple months that weren't the high season. So like, let's say you're a hairstylist and May and June are like, and I don't know, maybe these aren't the correct months, but if May and June you have a lot of like weddings and clients who come to you for like wedding parties, then you know that those months are going to be heavy in income. So look at some like lower months where you might not make as much to average out what a salary or income might look like on a given month. Another option, if you are hourly or service-based, is to just look at the minimum that you will make, right? What is the minimum amount of money that you can expect from working X amount of hours, given that you don't pick up any additional shifts or that you don't get any overtime. The third thing is really understanding what bills are coming in, what the dates are. So you want to know, like, the 15th, Netflix takes out money from my account to pay for my Netflix bill. Every month, it's the same thing. On the 1st, every month, you pay rent. So know what bills come your way so you can start, when you have to start drafting it out on the calendar, you know exactly where to place them. Fourth is a calendar. So this could be a Google Calendar. I know a lot of people use the calendar on their iPhone. I think that's the iPhone calendar, Apple Calendar. Also, if you are more of a creative type, you can use Canva to create a calendar, or you can have like a whiteboard with a calendar. It's really up to you. Just have a calendar where you're going to write things down. For example, I use both a Google Calendar to kind of put the dates that I expect each payment. So as I mentioned before, my Netflix comes every 15th. So monthly, and I just created this once, monthly I added the Netflix bill on the 15th to happen every 15th. So that's how I use the Google Calendar. I also use Canva to create a nice stylistic calendar that I will show you later on, that I then print out and write, and I have in the past, put on my Instagram story and just kind of track how I'm spending each day. Those are just the essentials to getting started. Of course, it could be more complex than that. You could get a bunch of colorful pens. I don't really have them here. Where are my colorful pens? Okay, here are some colorful pens to make it pretty. You can get markers. It all gets fancy from there, but those are like the basic things you need just to start out creating a spending calendar. Now, before I even calculate how much money is coming in and what is definitely coming out in terms of bills this month, I take a look at the entire calendar. I fill in the numbers, obviously, for the dates, and then I figure out what things are coming up, what celebrations, what birthdays, any time off that I'm taking, any pre-planned events. So if we weren't in this self-quarantine time, this could look like concert tickets that had been previously purchased months ago, or a happy hour that you committed to last week and you know is happening this week. Things like that, I would start adding them to the calendar. What I do is create symbols to represent what I'm trying to say. So like circle or a Z might be concerts. It's really up to you to be creative of how you want to represent what those things mean so that it's not just a bunch of text every month. Once you've filled out all of those dates, you want to just take a look at them and then figure out what are some monthly expenses that happen. Eating out, groceries. You're going to want to figure out which of these days you're going to go grocery shopping or get takeout if you happen to enjoy takeout and want to find a way to support your local businesses during this time. So what you would do here is go to your kitchen, see how full it is, how empty it is, figure it out, then determine like when you're going to need to go grocery shopping. So let's say you decide to go grocery shopping on a Tuesday of the beginning of the month. So we'll say Tuesday, going grocery shopping, and you know that you're going to go grocery shopping for 2 weeks worth of food. You know, in 2 weeks from that Tuesday, you might need to stock up again. So again, you'll put grocery shopping because you're going to go in 2 weeks. Whatever frequency you want to add it, it's really up to you. For eating out, same thing. If you want to make it a habit to eat out once a week, treat yourself once a week, then figure out which day of the week that's going to be. I tend to always put my eating out on the weekend, or I used to tend to do that because it was special. It was the weekend and I wanted to celebrate it. Now I don't leave my house. So like if I want to take out, it could be on a random Wednesday night. But when you schedule it, just think about what you might have going on that day. For instance, if you're having a virtual happy hour or something and you know that you're going to be tired after the call to make food, you might want to mark that as the night that you do delivery. And what I tend to do is give myself a couple of days after I got takeout or delivery to order again, because if I do them back to back, then I'm probably going to have to skip it for a week till I can do it again the next week, since this is what I do. I try to only eat out and get takeout, or get takeout now, once a week. But of course, it's your spending calendar, however you wish to mark that down. Once you've written that down, you should see this a little filled out. And now we're gonna go into putting your bills. So you might have this on your Google Calendar. I have it on both a Google Calendar and a actual physical calendar, because my Google Calendar will alert me of the day the payment is due. Even if it's an automatic payment, I like to know, okay, I'm gonna see this expense come up. It's not gonna be a surprise. It's fine. But I also like to see it here so I know, okay, that's coming down the line. Oh, I have 2 birthdays on the same day I have my Netflix bill. It's just nice for me to plan it out that way. So also, if that works with you, put it on your physical calendar, put it on your Google Calendar so you are aware that it's coming. And of course, you're gonna wanna put the days you get paid, right? So put a little star, put a smiley face on your paycheck days. So you know, okay, this is when I should expect X amount of money. And if you want, write out the total that you should expect. Once that's all filled out, you're gonna wanna just take a look at the questions that I added on the side. And, I do this in the beginning of the month just because it helps set the tone for how the month goes, right? So the first question is, where do you wanna give this month? Is there something that's particularly important to you right now that you wanna make sure that you set money aside to give to? For me this month, it's thinking about people who might need support, financial support because of COVID-19. So whether this is donating to a GoFundMe or it's Venmoing somebody who needs it more than I do, that is something that I'm thinking about specifically in April of 2020. Of course, that might look different for you. That might look different for me next month. I don't know. But that's why I ask those questions every month, because it's going to change. The second question I ask myself is, where do I want to challenge my spending? So if at this point you're already using the expense tracker, you know where your money is going, where it went. So is there something that you weren't happy about last month that you spent a lot of money on? Whether it's how high your grocery bill was, which, might have been the case for a lot of us, considering it was the first time we're going and getting a lot of things because we think we might need to be home for a long time. So was it your grocery bill? Was it, takeout? Whatever it was for you and whatever it is that you want to improve on, make sure you write that here. This is something that I want to challenge myself to spend less on. I want to, challenge myself not to go online and be tempted by online shopping. All those things could be written down here. So the last question here is, what are some of the things that you see that might be hurdles along this way that might interrupt your savings goals or what you have? Because you want to know that you're aware of this. That is the first step, right? Being aware that this is one of your weaknesses. How will you prevent that? You can't figure that out if you don't know what it is. So write it there. Make sure that, putting it on pen and paper or typing it up, whatever works best for you, is going to help you realize that this is something that you want to work on, but you understand that it is gonna take time. So whatever that is for you, you'd write it there. All right, so now we're gonna talk about the numbers. You need to get your total income that you expect to generate in that month versus your total savings that you expect to allocate automatically, so you don't have to think about it, into your financial goals. Subtract those two numbers and then you get your spending amount, right? And that is the max that you can spend this month. So then you're gonna wanna look at your calendar and see where this spending money that you have is gonna be going. So you already put down what events you have coming up, what birthday celebration things that you have, and what bills you're expecting. So just put numbers next to those. What do you think you're gonna spend on takeout? $15. What do you think you're gonna spend on, I guess, a virtual concert that you wanna pay for? If, this is post-quarantine time, then think about how much you wanna spend at the bar at the concert. So put little numbers next to those events and celebrations that you added to your calendar. And then that's it. A spending calendar is just understanding what things are happening in your life this month and knowing what number you want to allocate towards them. It's super simple. It doesn't need to be complicated. It doesn't need to stay the same every month. What might stay the same is the income that you're bringing in. Let me know if it's something that you're going to try. Let me know if you already do this, if you have a budget, what budget system do you use? I'm really curious to hear about what you're currently doing and if this is something that you can see yourself incorporating into that. So if you enjoyed this video, please hit that subscribe button, like button, all the buttons. Follow me on Instagram if you want to see my day-to-day. But until next time, my friends.